Gather us in the lost and forsaken. Gather us in the blind and the lame.
All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Neighbor Farmer Cigar Deck Talks. We're back on the deck. Beautiful day to be on the deck, actually. It was almost a touch 90 degrees, which is pretty hot for us around here. As I see the hornets and stuff, I forgot to light my citronella candle, so I'm going to light that here real quick. Very hot day, but very productive day. We got a lot of stuff done. Got our sprinkler system set up for the garden. Got our our second round of baby chicks this year out in the coop. That's kind of why I'm also out here checking to make sure that that fox doesn't come back to round 2 of eating our baby chicks. Before I get too far along, tonight we are smoking something special. A seasoned with Maker's Mark cigar. The bourbon cigar. So you get a good zoom in on that. Oh yeah. Smoked one of these ones just when I started this show. The podcast or the YouTube channel. Usually I save these for celebrations. But I find that sometimes I forget to use them to celebrate. Or I save them way too long. Growing up, I was a bit of a hoarder. I'd save stuff. I'll save this candy, and have it as sometimes special. And I'd forget, of course, that it was there or that something special would come up, and then I just wouldn't have it. So a lot of candy went rotten, got stolen by ants or mice or whatever else was in the house at the time. And it was ruined. So I kind of switched since becoming an adult. Sometimes you just have to treat yourself to a little special treat, and that's what it is tonight. Had I been thinking clearer, I would have had a good old-fashioned dragon's milk. But tonight we have the Sheehan's Stout from Rockford, Michigan. Rockford Brewing Company. It should be good. I don't know. Never had this brand. Ooh, lots of head just opening it, which is a good sign. This might be a good stout. Let's find out. I am actually kind of getting a little bit away from Dragon's Milk. They've been changing up the recipe quite a bit. It's had me kind of depressed. Nice head on that. Very nice. Let's give her a taste. Not bad. Definitely harsh. It's light. It's not very heavy stout, which is okay. That'd be a good summer one. That's right up there with Widowmaker. I might have to check and see how much a 6-pack of that costs. I might have to make it into the rotation around here for dinner drinking. It's got a little bit of that acidy feeling in the back of your throat, but not bad, not overwhelming. So tonight is kind of a special episode. The fact of the topic we're going to talk about. I shot now 3 videos of the War Stories series, and they're going great. Really having a lot of fun with those. I'm getting some positive feedback about them. But the next 2 have humor. Even though one of them, one's the achievement, my greatest achievement with funny humor, one's my funniest call. And it dawned on me that I might have to explain something to a few people, and that is, what is dark humor? And why is it in public service, military, police, fire, EMS, nursing, doctors, why do we use dark humor? It gets our profession in trouble constantly. Every year I'm sent many articles about the downsides of dark humor and how it's bad for the profession, and people write articles about it and do research about it, and it's very controversial in many scopes of the public especially. But honestly, it's not. Um, so I want to kind of clear some of that up. We're going to talk about dark humor and why it's a important cornerstone of EMS. And I'm going to come at this from EMS specifically, but don't get me wrong, I've talked to many veterans, many police officers and firefighters and nurses and doctors who have just as dark senses of humor as there ever will be. But I'm going to come at this one solely from that EMS perspective. How do we look at dark humor? Why do we do it? The best way to sum it up is there was a Facebook page I was a part of, and their motto was dark humor. It's like food. Not everyone gets it. And I don't think the guy knowingly knew how many layers of there was to that statement. That statement had a lot of layers to it, a lot of actual meaning and deeper meaning when you look into it. Dark humor is what we use to try and deal with what we see on a day-to-day basis. We will see some of the most horrifying, horrific things that anyone will ever see in their life or have to experience. Death of a child, suicides, homicides, drug overdoses, decomposition of a body, traumatic wounds, people who died too early, died horrifically. You'll have those patients who you just throw your heart and soul into trying to save. And then they die. Transversely, you'll have some patients who you wish would die and they end up making a full recovery. That's a story for another episode, of course. And the sad part is, all of that happens on a Tuesday for us. No different than you going into an office job or working at a restaurant and your slow Tuesdays. All of that will happen on our Tuesday. I always look at the quote from the Mortal Kombat movie. Again, not a very good adaptation of a video game, but there's one speech that Bison has with Chun-Li, and it's amazing. I actually use it for teaching. She details about how his ragtag group of rebels came into her village and was pushed out by a bunch of farmers. But on the way out, that one of the farmers tried to kill Bison, and Bison killed him in the assault, and that turned out to be her father, and now she's dedicated her life purpose to exacting revenge. And Bison is, I think, mixing drinks or something, very nonchalant about the story, and he looks at her and says, for you, that was the quintessential, pinnacle moment of your life that drove you for your meaning and purpose. For me, it was a slow Tuesday. Now, again, we're not warlords, but that clicks with me because it is. We have to somehow find a way to take these horrific things that we see and have to do and have to experience and modulate it, modify it, and deal with it rapidly. I can't tell you how many times I've went from a critical call. I've had numbers of times with children. Calls with children that were these terrible calls, and then we go to the next call is the neighborhood frequent flyer who's got something wrong with him. He's just drug seeking, and I have to treat him the same, if not better, than I'd treat anyone else after dealing with something horrific. So one of the best ways to do that is with humor. To make it funny. If you can laugh at something, it minimizes it. It helps you, instead of going to that fight and flight response, it'll start activating more of your, we call it rest and digestion. It's the parasympathetic nervous system, but the opposite of fight and flight. It minimizes the situation. I can't tell you how many times I've come upon stuff where one of the classic ones, this girl was at school, fell off the playground set, broke her arm. It was definitely broken. And she was doing okay. We were treating her, starting an IV. She actually sat still through that. And then all of a sudden, mom showed up. And mom started screaming and just crying. And, oh my God, are you okay? And the daughter started crying, no, mommy, I'm not. And just her pain got worse. She started flopping around. She started getting scared because she was building off of what this mom was projecting. And that's the cycle we need to break. And that's why we use dark humor. We'll make a joke. It's horribly inappropriate. I remember one joke that my partner told. We were going to some kids were racing, I think it was dirt bikes or something, down a field. And they didn't know that the farmer had installed a new fence, a barbed wire fence. And one of the kids ended up getting decapitated by this barbed wire fence. It's horrifying, really was. Too young. This kid had no idea, total accident. The farmer actually was related. I think he was actually their grandfather or something. So grandpa's just going irate, the family's going irate, people are crying. It just really rocked you to your core. And then as we're driving back, my partner looks at me, says, that was a tough one, right? Yeah, it was bad, man, that was bad. And this is a guy who, he didn't use a lot of dark humor. He's like, well, at least there's no arguing. I'm like, what do you mean there's no arguing? We'll always know who came in first. It's a horrible joke, right? Horrifying. We're making fun of how this kid died, but we both laughed. We had a laugh. Yes, it was dark. It was inappropriate. Thank God the family wasn't around. Again, we don't use dark humor in front of patients. But it allowed us to diffuse that situation. We took this event and we made light of it. It didn't get into our core, and it didn't eat away at who we were or our psyche. Because no doubt the next call for us probably wasn't that bad of a call. It was probably a simple chest pain, a simple someone in asthma or breathing distress or something like that, that we had to be back to normal. We had to recenter ourselves to deal with that. And that joke did it. That joke really kind of reset us. Actually, I'm going to go on a limb, and I've talked about the worst call that I was on. It stemmed from the fact that I had to deal with a pregnant woman, and I couldn't make a dark humor about it. But there's a part of me that wishes I would have. When my wife had her problem, where I had to treat her, I didn't make any jokes, and I regret it. I should have. I should have found something funny to laugh at, because it probably wouldn't have affected me as much. It sounds weird. It really does. It sounds horrible. It sounds like I'm a bad person. People in EMS are horrible. How can you laugh at someone's pain and suffering? And it's not. We're laughing in spite of the pain and suffering. We're laughing to try and overcome this horrific event that has just happened. We make these little quips, these little jokes. Do we honestly mean them? Hell no. Hell no. But we need it. We need it to move on. And it's backed up by a lot of research. Making these quick little jokes, making light of a situation, is a lot like de-escalation training. To make light of a situation, to calm people down. And I've seen it actually work in other fashions too. If you talk to my partners, I'm one of the few people, I make the patient laugh. And a lot of times they hate me for it. It usually causes a little bit of pain, but it causes them to calm down. Laughter is an amazing treatment tool. And there are lots and lots of cases where I've gotten the patient just laughing, just rolling. We had one where this kid, was working, I think it was on his fan belt, and his hand got sucked into the fan. and absolutely decimated his hand. It was chopped up. He wasn't gonna lose it, but it was bloody. It was gory. He was worried he was gonna lose it, but I knew he wouldn't. I did the assessment. He just needed a lot of time for healing. And I mean, I could tell he was distraught about it. And he's sitting there and he's just feeling horrible. He's like, oh my God, he's worried he's going to lose his hand. And I check it out and he's like, how bad is it? How bad is it? I'm like, well, I got some good news and I got some bad news. Like, just lay it on me. I was like, well, the good news is, you're, it looks like your hand's going to be fine. It's savable. Oh, okay. What's the bad news? You're going to be the worst at giving high fives for the next 2 months, for sure. And he just broke out laughing. Full belly on laughing. Couldn't believe that I'd say this to him, that he's gonna be bad at giving high fives. And his mom was there, his dad. I think his dad was there, and it was his mom, because his mom was like, I don't even know why I'm laughing. That's a horrible joke. It's like, but I needed that. I needed to laugh. His pain level went from a 10 out of 10 to like a 5 out of 10 instantly. He's not thinking about his hand. He's thinking about this dumb dad joke that I had just given, this really dry humor joke. But he is just laughing to beat a storm. And we kept making one-handed jokes constantly. I think I told him, I said, hey, told his mom, I said, if you ever get stuck in a tree, you know how to get him out for the next 2 months? And she's like, no, how? Just wave hi to him. Again, just laughter. These guys are breaking up. And again, his pain level stayed we gave him some medication for the pain too, but stayed pretty stable. We gave minimal medication to control it. And that's dark humor. Who makes fun of someone for getting their hand chopped up like that? We had another patient, chronic problems. He was paralyzed from the waist down, and he had a bunch of other issues going on. He had some asthma, COPD. He was a smoker. Had him there myself. And I remember he was just really down. He was really down. Things weren't going good. I think he was getting the settlement payments and they were being frozen or something. And I go and I have to go grab something from the rig to check him out. I'm like, okay, you wait here. And my partner's going to stay with him. He's like, it's okay. He won't get far on foot. And we just started laughing. I mean, a horrible, horrible joke. And he couldn't believe that she had said this. It was my partner, that said that, and we were all laughing. It was a good joke. He appreciated making light of this situation, bringing some humor into this situation really helped him. Of course, I then was like, don't worry. I said that my partner's actually on the short side. I said, you can't make fun of people like that. That's horrible. I said, of course, I bought her a shirt. And the patient's like, well, what type of shirt? I said, it's this awesome one. It's very inspirational. It reminds her, short people are the last ones to get rained on. And he's like, oh, that's nice. But they're the first ones to drown, is on the back. And again, we're cracking up. Dark humor. It's not funny. For civilized people, that's not funny. But to diffuse the situation, to get someone laughing, to make light of what's going on. I know I use dark humor for my dyslexia. I went out there and I was talking with someone, and the idea of me being dyslexic came up, and it made it very awkward. And I said, well, guys, don't worry. It doesn't have to be awkward. Well, unless we're in church. Like, what do you mean? I kept wondering where the dog was the whole time. I kept looking for the dog we were praying to. And then it dawned on them, dog backwards is God. People are laughing. It diffuses the situation. It gets some humor in there. Laughter really is the best medicine. I stand by that. I've seen so many people, if I can get them laughing, smiling, their pain goes down, their symptoms lessen. Even just talking to people like human beings, taking it from being this life-altering event that they're going through and making it instead another Tuesday. This is normal. This is fine. You'll get through this. I remember there was a baby I took took downstate. I'll have a full version of this one. The mom was just stricken with worry. And the baby was sick. This was a very sick kid. But I kept telling the mom jokes and making her laugh and making her smile, and it made her more comfortable. And I swear it made the baby more comfortable. Man, just putting a little humor in there. But again, to get that inspiration, you have to take the situation and make it funny. A lot of us would rather make dumb dad jokes. We would rather tell knock-knock jokes, or watch a comedian, stand-up comedian. Just watching some Jeff Dunham. We'd love to do nothing but emulate those jokes. But what do we have? We have a horrifying situation in front of us. And we need to diffuse that situation. I've known many people who get burnt out. Using this dark humor is a way to resist from getting burnt out. So yes, I use dark humor. Many EMS, healthcare, military, police, fire will use dark humor. Now, it's not because we're bad individuals who really don't care about our patients, or we don't understand the seriousness of the situation. I've had that one thrown at me tons of times. You don't understand the seriousness of the situation. Well, of course I do. I just sat with this person for 30 minutes to an hour. I know how serious it is. But in truth, if I don't do something for me to overcome this, I'm going to get burned out. I'm going to start drinking heavily. I'm going to need psychotherapy. They find, one of the studies I was reading, marvelous study about post-traumatic event syndromes, especially dealing with active shooters. They look at the sooner you can get to normal, the better. So they took, like the one that happened in California, the health department was in 2016, I think. They had the people go and shoot up a health department. They looked at that one. For the people who took the extended short-term disability, so they took like 2 months off, something like 90% of those people never, like they came to work and they didn't last, I think it was 6 months, it might have been a full year. 90% of them quit. But then there's another group who got back within a week. I think one of them even got back within 48 hours, got back to work because he had a lot of projects going. Of those ones who got back into their position, back to their normal within a week, 90% of them are still on the job today. Using that dark humor gets us over that hump, gets us to get back to normal, to get away from this horrific call. And we need to get back to normal after these calls. We need to make this no different than a slow Tuesday for a barista at Starbucks. We need to get back to this normal. Because if we don't, we're going to go through these PTSD events. We're going to go through these horrific psychological effects and emotional effects. And we can't do that. We need to snap back immediately. Because again, you don't want me to go to some traumatic PEDS code where we're working our heart and soul to try and save a kid, and then you're having chest pain, and I am so distraught and so distracted by that last call that I don't treat you to the fullest. So I'll make use some dark humor. I'll make some jokes. Yeah, they're not tasteful. They're probably wrong, and many of them I've made jokes I've made. I think back, I'm like, why would I have thought that was funny? But the truth is, I needed to make it funny. I needed to laugh. I needed to get over that. And honestly, the few times I didn't, those were the times that have really affected me in my career, have made me make life-altering decisions, have given me depression and PTSD and anxiety and even borderline phobias. So when I look at that and I think about that, I really do believe this dark humor is needed. There's a lot of studies to back it up. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence to back it up. But it is needed. And yes, those of us who are in the professions and we get out into the real world, when I first started working for the health department, just getting off the rigs full times, I made a lot of dark humor jokes. And I got in a lot of trouble for it. Thankfully, I was articulate enough to explain my background, explain where I'm coming from, explain, why I have these kind of darker sense of humor. And it was explained to me, is this something you can overcome, or is this going to be a chronic problem? And I said, no, I can overcome it because now I'm not in an environment where it's so high stress and I need to make these jokes to survive. So I was able to keep my job, and I did. I lessened my dark humor. I modulated it. It's still there. I'll still read memes or posts online about funny EMS stories, and I can laugh, and I like sharing them. I enjoy them because I know the meaning of them. They're there to help that provider. So as we move forward in this War Story series, you're going to hear me talk about a funny situation. Well, this was funny. It might be the worst call, and then I had something funny that went along with it, or an achievement, or whatever it is. I might talk about, the funny aspect. The weirdest calls. I have a weird call coming up, and I won't spoil it exactly, but basically this kid had smashed his finger, and he decided to try and fix it at home. Didn't go so well. It was gruesome. He messed up his hand pretty bad. And we used some dark humor. We made some jokes about him and his finger that he was potentially going to lose. And it was because if I didn't, it was horrifying. It was gross. It was life-altering potentially for this kid. But he needed the laugh. We needed the laugh. That's not coming off easily. So be warned as you watch the rest of this War Story series. There will be dark humor, period. That's just the nature of the beast of being an EMS or any public servant, military. Some of you people who are from those backgrounds are going to love the humor. You're going to find the biggest kick out of this. Some of you who are not indoctrinated, initiated, used to this lifestyle, it may be offensive. And I'm sorry about that, but remember that it's not coming from a place of disrespect or hatred that I make these jokes. It's not coming from a place of disregard for my patients as humans. It's not coming from a place of impropriety. It's coming from a place of wanting to heal, wanting to normalize, wanting to make it better for not only me, but the patient. Again, I've gotten many of my patients just laughing, out and out laughing when I'm on these runs. Again, when I get a 911 call, I know this is the most significant moment in their life, potentially. Their life will be altered in more ways than we can even perceive. Even they can perceive. But by making them laugh, it at least starts that process to making this normal. Honestly, with the beer flu we're going through or just getting done with, a lot of people I know have gotten through it by making light of it, by making jokes. That's how I've even gotten through some of this, by making jokes, laughing. Yeah, it's dark. People have died, I get that. People have been sick and disabled, and morbidities and mortalities are through the roof. I understand that. But I also understand that to get through this, we have to normalize it. We have to laugh at it to get past it. And maybe that's wrong. I don't know. I've done enough research to realize that it's not. I have stacks of studies that talk about the benefits of dark humor. Usually the guys who have it will last in the careers the longest and be some of the best providers. Even anecdotally, I can tell you how many patients I've used some dark humor on calls for them and how much that laughter helped them. So be warned going forward in these war stories. I'll give very few warnings about dark humor. I'm just going to lay it out there. Lay out the jokes, lay out if there's something funny that happens so you know it, you can see it. If that offends you, I'm sorry. Maybe this series is not one you should be watching. For those of you who understand dark humor, you probably get it. You get that, you know what? If I don't like his joke, turn off the video, watch a different one. And I respect that. Kudos. Good on you. Hopefully, as these EMS war stories go on, I don't get too much hate for them. I know it's probably coming, though. But I do ask that you understand that it's not out of a place of hatred that I make these jokes. It is actually out of a place of healing. And yes, sometimes that healing might be 100% for me. But you know what? If I go down, or other EMS providers go down, or soldiers go down, or firefighters or police officers go down, we can't help. And it's a very real possibility in some of these communities. If you lose responders, you call 911 and no one's showing up. Help's not coming. So we need to do what we need to do for us. And part of that is this dark humor. Anyway, this video is getting quite long, so I think I'm going to end it here. I hope you enjoyed my explanation of dark humor, and yeah, we'll see you on the next war story. Hope everyone's doing well and you're staying safe out there. I actually do mean that. And we'll see you on the next one.